Hello, Green and Tidiers. Welcome to another missive from me, Rachel Papworth, the online professional organizer, liberating you from the shackles of clutter and chaos to give you peace of mind and productivity. And today's video is in response to a comment that somebody put on one of my previous videos about how you get started. What do you do? Last time on one of these YouTube lives, I talked about what to do when you get stuck. So you started the project, you started your decluttering project, you get really infused and fired up at the beginning, and then you get stuck. But actually there is a step before that, isn't there, which is getting started in the first place, and that can be really tough when you're feeling overwhelmed and it looks like you've got a really big task to tackle. So what are some tips to help you get started? This is what I do. It's kind of a combination of things, really, that some sort of techniques and some kind of games that I play with myself. So the first thing, and I've said it many times before, is scheduling. There's something about allowing yourself to procrastinate. So just deciding when you're going to start something rather than making yourself, never feeling like starting it right now. Get your scheduler out, your calendar, your diary, whatever it is that you use, and decide when you're going to start and stick to that. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, I think, is to make sure that you start small. Don't think that you've got to try and do the whole thing in one go or even make a big difference in one go. Just do a little bit. And then that links to another idea. That's something that works really well for me, which is kind of, I call it fooling myself. So, I tell myself I'm just going to do this little bit here. But in the back of my mind, I kind of know that once I've started, I'll get caught up in it and then I'll keep going and I want to keep going and I won't want to stop. And actually well, this is going back to not getting stuck, but don't, if that happens to you, make sure that you don't burn yourself out. Don't do so much in the first session that you end up exhausted, then you can never face a second session. But it does work sometimes to kind of tell yourself you're just going to do a little bit and then really get going. And then the last thing can be to involve somebody else, and you can actually link that into all those things I've already said. So if you schedule a time and you book a friend or a professional to come and work with you at that time, well, you're going to be held to it, aren't you? You can't really say no now, because you can't really say I'm going to do something else instead, because you've promised somebody else that you're going to do it. And then also just having somebody else involved makes it seem like a less overwhelming task and more manageable, and it becomes a bit more fun, and it's just all more doable. So I hope that's helpful. Comment below with your ideas for how you get started when you're putting something off, or when the thought of starting something just seems too daunting. What do you do to get yourself going? And keep those requests coming in for what you'd like these videos to cover, because they really help me and I don't have to keep thinking up topics. And what else? Still on a mission to get 10,000 YouTube subscribers, so all likes and comments and shares particularly appreciated at the moment. And I will see you in the next YouTube live. Take care.